Good evening. The Newark Public Schools Board of Education regular meeting for June 25th, 2013 is now called to order.
Good evening. In accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act, NJSA 1046 et sec, adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by advertising in the Star Ledger, El Nuevo Coquí, Haiti Progress, and Luz Americana newspapers, and by distribution to the administrative offices of the Newark Public Schools. A copy of this meeting notice was also forwarded to City Hall for posting. This is a regular advisory board meeting for Tuesday night, June 25, 2013.
Please stand for the flag salute. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Mr. Hassan.
Present.
Mr. Kenny.
Here.
Mr. Lewis. Here. Ms. Mattias.
Here.
Dr. McCreary.
Here.
Ms. Perello.
Here.
Ms. Pinto-Marin. Mr. Rashidi.
Here.
Chair Baskerville Richardson.
Here.
Student Rep Angel Plaza. Quorum is present.
Thank you. We will now have greetings from Science Park High School Principal Lamont Thomas.
Good evening, parents, community members, Superintendent Anderson, Madam Chair, advisory board members, and students. I've had the honor of speaking before the Advisory Board of Newark on several occasions, and as always, I would like to begin with the following questions. How do you improve a school district? Answer, one school at a time. How do you improve a school? Answer, one classroom at a time. Third question, how do you improve a classroom? Answer, one student at a time. The solutions to improving the district starts and ends at the heartbeat of the classroom. It starts and ends with the hearts and souls of our children. We must become a community that works as one with one goal in mind. If our goal is to improve outcomes for our students, we must stand and band together. Our sons, our daughters, and quite frankly, our collective future depends on us doing right by our students. Science Park High School has grown tremendously over the past several years. More recently, we have been authorized as an international baccalaureate school, one of only 12 schools in the state of New Jersey to hold such a distinct honor. I would like to applaud my administrative team and my staff for helping us achieve this tremendous goal. Thank you for those in the audience that are a part of my team. We also have had tremendous growth on our SATs and our advanced proficiency ratings on the HESPA. We have grown and improved by 43 collective points on our SATs, leading to an average of 1,606 for our students. We also had 35.5% of our students score advanced proficient on our HESPA, and 60.2% of our students score advanced proficient on our mathematics portion of the HESPA. So we continue to move the bar and redefine excellence here at Science. And I can proudly say that our students continue to meet and exceed our expectations. So how do you improve a district? The answer simply is one student at a time. Thank you, and on behalf of my students, my parents, and my staff, welcome to Science Park High School, home of the Chargers.
Thank you. We will now have student and school recognition of Science Park International Baccalaureate designation, and Superintendent Cammie Anderson will take that.
Good evening. We received some excellent news from Science Park several months ago and wanted to take a moment to formally acknowledge and recognize the IB status that has been conferred upon Science Park. For those who may not be familiar with the process of becoming an IB school, it is rigorous, to say the least. The Science Park faculty and families have been engaged in this process for 2 years, and they finally prevailed. The bar is extremely high. What the selection committee is looking for is a track record of success and excellence, but also a readiness and a willingness to grow and improve. They passed that bar. They received IB status. The district committed the resources necessary for the application and the dues that are required, in part because having an IB school in Newark is such an incredible thing for our community. But we just wanted, myself, our team, and the school advisory board, we wanted to formally acknowledge and recognize the hard work that it took to get here. And I would just add my own personal admiration for science being a place of excellence, but also a place committed to continual growth. Those are two beautiful things to hold at the same time. So with this, we would like to formally recognize the staff and students and administration. So for anyone in the audience affiliated with Science Park, please rise so that we may give you a formal recognition. Huge congratulations, and thank you so much for your hard work.
Thank you, Superintendent Anderson. We will now have the swearing in of our new student school board member, Mr. Jordan Thomas. Please come up. Jordan is joined on stage with his mother, Mrs. Thomas.
Okay, please repeat after me. I, Jordan Thomas,
I, Jordan Thomas,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support
that I will support
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
and that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
and also to the governments
and also to the governments
established in the United States
established in the United States
and this state
and this state
under the authority of the people.
under the authority of the people.
So help me God.
So help me God.
I, Jordan Thomas,
I, Jordan Thomas,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I possess the qualifications
that I possess the qualifications
for a student representative,
for a student representative,
and that I will faithfully,
and that I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly
and justly
perform all the duties of that office
perform all the duties of that office
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Jordan, I'm going to ask you to stay on stage. Okay, you can stay off to the side if you like. But please stay on stage because if you would like to say something, we're going to give you that opportunity, although you won't be actually seated until August. No, come up off the wall. Come on. Okay, we will give you the opportunity if you'd like to make a short statement, but first you are going to have to stand there while I talk about you before you speak. So Jordan came to us through a process, and that was an interview team, and included on that interview team were 2 students, Angel Plaza, our current school student school board representative, as well as Jason Brazil, another student in the Newark Public Schools, board member Al Tariq Kinney, as well as Ms. Valerie Merritt, Director of Board Relations, and Nancy Deering, ombudsman and student rep advisor. So that was the process that Jordan passed through to get to this particular position. Jordan was born in Newark, and I won't tell your birthday and your age. Currently a junior, which means that next year he will be a senior at University High School, where he maintains. Yeah. Now, if we're going to clap for every wonderful thing about Jordan, we'll be here all night. So please allow me to finish. Where he maintains the highest GPA in the school at this point, which is a 4.317 cumulative GPA. President of University High School's class of 2014, junior representative of the National Honor Society, represents his peers on the student council. His academic goals include attending an Ivy League school, probably Princeton. Is that 100%, or we're maybe, probably?
It's about right.
Okay. Okay, where he plans to pursue his bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering and his master's in aerospace engineering. After having spent 2 summers on campus through the W.B. Du Bois Scholars Institute program, Princeton, okay, it's again that Princeton seems to be where he's heading, but he's also considering Harvard, MIT, and Stanford. He aspires to hold a leadership position within the field of aerospace engineering, and a true testament to Jordan's commitment to paying it forward as a true testament. He is actively involved in giving back and improving his community, especially in the area of education, and he looks forward to holding the position as the 2013-2014 Newark Public Schools Advisory Board Student Representative. Jordan, welcome to this body, and now your opportunity for a few brief words.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
For that. I wanted to thank you, like I said, and thank all of you for coming here. And I'm just so blessed and just so honored to have been given this opportunity, because it's one thing to believe in yourself and to have people to tell you that you're great, but then it's another thing to strive for something and to finally get what you've worked hard for, and that just gives you this whole new level of confidence and this whole new level of motivation to just keep trying and to keep doing greater things in life. So I want to thank you for given me this opportunity, but I'm also very eager to start working in the city of Newark, because I just love this city. I love the dedication of the students, the dedication of the faculty, the staff. So I just want to thank you and tell you that I'm definitely very eager to come out here and just start making great changes on this board.
We will now move on the agenda to the report of the Advisory Board Chairperson. Greetings, parents, community members, students, fellow Board of Education members, Newark school employees, administration, and Superintendent Anderson. This is the last board meeting for this school year and the last week of school for Newark Public School students. On behalf of the entire board, I congratulate every student in the city for your hard work and accomplishments this year. To the graduates, for our 8th grade graduates, the next 4 years holds the key to your future. Yes, your high school years determine so much about your future life, so study hard and learn as much as you can. To our high school graduates, we hope that you are ready, willing, and able, and by able, I mean prepared. Not just prepared, but anxious to take your rightful places in the world of higher education, technical training, and the world of work. We hope most of all that you will be positive and productive citizens. An update now on the activities of your school board since we last met. All board committees have met for the month of June, with the exception of the Constituent Services Committee, and all committees that met reported out at the business meeting last week on June 18th. The following student and school-related events were attended by your school board members since our last meeting. And it's an extensive list. On May 31st, May 31st, the New Jersey School Board Association Urban Committee meeting in Trenton was attended by board members Daniqua Matthias, Rashan Hassan, and I. On June 4th, the appellate court hearing regarding the board and community's call for local control was attended by board members Ariana Perillo, Daniqua Matthias, Vice Chair Marquise Lewis, and I. And I will give details, report on that in a few minutes. On June 5th, board members Daniqua Matthias and I spoke before the New Jersey State Board of Education with focus on the issue of return to local control. On June 12th, board member Ariana Perillo attended the unveiling of the plan for the new Elliott Street School, and she also attended the planning meeting for Barringer High School. Also on June 12th, Vice Chair Marquise Lewis attended the Elementary Basketball Cheerleaders Championship Banquet. On June 13th, Superintendent Anderson's One Newark event was attended by board member Rashan Hassan. On June 14th, board member Khalil Rashidi conducted a workshop for the male conference at 13th Avenue School, and board vice president Marquise Lewis attended the carnival at Dr. Horton School and the Westside High School Community Day. On June 18th, I spoke at a public hearing organized by the Black Legislative Caucus, which sponsored the hearing to get testimony on issues related to state control in the Newark District. On June 21st, board member Rashan Hassan served as a TFA panelist, and board member Khalil Rashidi attended the Sussex Avenue School block party. Board member Daniqua Matthias attended the Harriet Tubman School graduation. The summer reading block party, sponsored by 221 Community Impact, was attended by board members Al Tariq Kinney and Ariana Perillo. The Early Childhood West graduation was attended by board member Daniqua Matthias. And board member Al Tariq Kinney attended Men's Day at Weequahic High School and Career Day at Technology High School. In addition, many board members will be attending graduation ceremonies at our various elementary and high schools this week. I will now move on to what I think is very important, and that is to give some clarity on the details of the June 4th appellate court hearing. And this is simply for clarity because there have been a lot of misunderstandings. And it is important that everyone understand that the Newark Public Schools have not, at this moment, have not been returned to local control, and that the struggle for local control continues. Fact, on June 4th, 2013, appellate court judges Yanati, Harris, and Hayden heard arguments from Attorney Greg Stewart for the Newark Board and the community, and Assistant Attorney General Michael C. Walters for Commissioner Cerf. The judges said that they would consider all the testimony and render an opinion, in parentheses, at a later date. As of today, the judges have not ruled. Fact, Assistant Attorney General Walters stated at the conclusion of his oral argument that Commissioner Cerf will, within the next 30 days, issue a letter to the Newark School Board for the purpose of arranging a meeting to discuss a transitional plan for fiscal management, and that furthermore, and this is in quotes, furthermore, the Commissioner, upon development of the transition plan, will recommend to the State Board that the process for withdrawal from intervention in fiscal management be initiated. Fact, on June 21st, I received an email from the Commissioner's office requesting to meet with me. That meeting, which I assume is the meeting referred to in the letter given to the appellate court, will take place on July 26th. Fact, the Newark Board maintains the objective of gaining full local control. Without control in the area of governance, the superintendent can still lawfully continue to override the board's votes, and the board can't hire, evaluate, or fire any superintendent. Fact, The return to local control in the best of circumstances is a process of approximately 2 years. Fact. The struggle continues. An additional issue that came to our attention last week is the agreement between Superintendent Anderson, Foundation for Newark's Future, and Commissioner Cerf, which is detailed in the document titled Newark Excels Grant Agreement. The troublesome conditions of this agreement are discussed in an NJ Spotlight article today by John Moody. I urge everyone to read the article. The board did not know about this agreement until it was opened by the Education Law Center. The agreement details the conditions for FNF's, which is Foundation for Newark Future, FNF's grant of $31 million to pay the Newark Public School teachers retroactive salaries. Our most stringent objective to the agreement is that the agreement gives an unprecedented amount of influence and leverage to a supposedly independent body, FNF, over the employment of personnel in a public institution, NPS. Where, in referring to the money that FNF granted to NPS to pay the teachers' retro salaries, the agreement states that NPS shall notify FNF promptly of any change involving Cammie Anderson, Superintendent NPS, Payman Rohanafor, Chief Strategy and Innovation Officer, NPS, and Chris Cerf, New Jersey Commissioner of Education, and that, again in quotes, FNF reserves the right to suspend payments until it is satisfied that the successor of any key personnel has comparable quality and commitment and is likely to be effective. There are other objections, which include the fact that this board was not aware of the existence of this agreement, that the agreement calls for detailed reports and data to be given to the FNF board, but not the NPS board, that citywide goals with clear achievement metrics were rolled out to the board in closed session and then to chosen stakeholders, but not to the general public or the community of parents and concerned citizens who attend school board meetings. There are other objections, but there's no time here at this meeting to detail them all. Some will say that legally, under state control, the superintendent does not have to tell the board about agreements such as this. But I say that the present outrage could have been avoided regarding this grant agreement by simply sharing it with the board and rolling out the mandated goals and achievement metrics to the general public and ensuring that they understood as mandated in the agreement document. This lack of disclosure is part of a pattern that is a major factor in the Newark School Board's lack of confidence in the superintendent. I would like to, at this time, again, simply to urge you to read for yourselves. And I would like to thank everyone for your patience and attention. I realize that my statement this evening was lengthy, so thank you for your patience and attention to my message. And we wish everyone a happy, rejuvenating, and productive summer. We will now move on to recognition of Elijah Smith.
Either one. So
I'm sorry, Mr. Smith? Where do we want him to go?
So let me actually say wonderful things about you, and then maybe
Come down, though. We want everyone to be able to see.
to recognize you, definitely.
You don't want to come on stage?
Sure. Yeah,
No, come on stage. Come on stage.
Of course. So as Elijah is joining the stage to get a well-deserved huge round of applause, we wanted to let everyone know that he's being recognized for his exemplary performance at a policy debate, which resulted in the championship title at the National Cross-Examination Debate Association Tournament and a championship title at the National Debate Tournament in the 2013 academic year, which I understand is a hugely competitive honor and a very wonderful testament to his hard work and skill. Elijah and his partner Ryan Walsh, who attends Emporia State University, are the first African-American team to win the highly prestigious Cross-Examination Debate Association tournament. And we also want to recognize at the same time all of the hard work of the coaches and faculty and staff in places like Science Park and elsewhere who have done an excellent job keeping the quality of our debate program top-notch and clearly competitive with the best in the country. So we honor you and say congratulations for your amazing accomplishment.
Elijah, I'm sorry if I may before you speak. I'm sorry. I just want to say, and this I say because of firsthand experience in the past as a coach, not of debate, but of speech, which travels the same circuit. I know the hard work that goes into this activity. And just to say that debate, I'm sure you will agree with me that Newark has invigorated the national debate scene, and that this is an activity where undoubtedly where undoubtedly the students have put Newark on the map and have proven that you can do absolutely anything that you want to do and that we excel. So thank you.
I would just like to thank the advisory board for the recognition. I also would like to thank Newark Public Schools for its continued support of the debate team, Ms. Rosenbaum, Mr. Leon and Ms. Sharp, people from university. I see you, young man. I appreciate what you're doing. As somebody who learned how to debate and traveled through an urban debate league, we were often told that we weren't good enough to succeed. We weren't good enough to be as successful as other schools. But during this school year, I have a 7-0 record against Harvard University. I'm undefeated against the best Ivy League schools in the country, and I thank Norfolk Public Schools for its continued support of debate, because it is something that truly proves that Newark students can succeed. Thank you.
Thank you. If anyone does not know this, and I'm going to get in trouble for this, but our own Roger Leone was also a student debater in his days many, many, many years ago. And thank you again, Elijah, just for coming back here today to be with us, to allow us to honor you. Anybody else want to get a picture with Elijah? I'll go, but I have to run the meeting. We will now have a special presentation by Ms. Wafia Mohammed.
Greetings of peace. Wafia Mohammed. Muslim community advocate.
Good evening.
Newark Public Schools, educator of students with disabilities, 27 years, Camden Street School. On behalf of the Muslim community, I'd like to thank the Advisory Board Chairperson, Baskerville Richardson, and the Advisory Board members for unanimously voting on a resolution urging the superintendent to include the Muslim holidays, properly known as Eids, to the Newark Public Schools calendar in years 2013 and beyond. I'd like to thank Superintendent Cammie Anderson and her staff for adjusting the school calendar by moving the Staff Development Day to October 15, 2013, which corresponds to the Islamic holiday of Eid al-Adha. The adjustment affords Muslim students the opportunity to celebrate their holiday without missing vital instruction. On behalf of the Muslim community, I'd like to present a gift to both the superintendent and to the advisory board chair. This is not an ordinary book. It is a book of guidance and wisdom. In fact, the third president of the United States and one of the founding fathers of this country, President Thomas Jefferson, not only owned a copy of this book, but read this book. He purchased it around 1764, and later, in 1814, he sold his personal copy along with approximately 6,500 books to the Library of Congress. Today, over 247 years later, this book remains in the Library of Congress in Washington, D.C. The name of this book is the Holy Quran. The Muslim community looks forward to working with the superintendent's office in the future to ensure that the Eid days are recognized. We thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Mohammed. And I just want to say thank you to you, Ms. Mohammed, for your vigilance. And we are very happy that you are pleased with the outcome. And we believe not only in tolerance, but in equity. And I hope that we have moved in that direction. So thank you.
And I just wanted to add my thanks as well. It's very heartwarming and very significant. So for that, I deeply thank you and all of the individuals that worked on this effort. And just to express our commitment, as the chair did, to a culture of respect for all religious practices and all that we can do as a school district to communicate that level of respect is equitable and is for all. So we thank you very much, and I thank you personally for a wonderful, heartwarming gift.
Let's go get a picture.
We will now move to item 8, parent recognition by the Constituent Services Committee.
Good evening, and thank everyone for being here. Before I even start, I wanted to just recognize 4 young men who are breaking the stereotype, or actually creating a new stereotype here in the city of Newark, that being young, being a black male, means that you are committed to education and committed to excellence. Just seeing the work that Elijah Smith, Jason Brazil, Angel Plaza, and Joanne Thomas present to this board says a lot about the young men and women that come out of this district, and they all attend schools here in Newark Public Schools. We're proud to have them. But most importantly, we also have educators like a Jonathan Alston and Lamont Thomas and others to be invested in their programs as well. So thank you for giving us them, and to your parents as well. Thank you for producing them as well, because they are some excellent, excellent young people, and we're actually happy to be up here doing the work that we're supposed to do. This is the exciting part. Each day throughout the district, hundreds of parents are making a difference in our schools, supporting their children's academic successes by volunteering. The Newark Public Schools Advisory, let me make a correction. The Newark Public School Board Community Relations Committee wishes to recognize and express its appreciation to those parents and community members who devote their time, share their talents and resources with children, staff, and administrators to improve the quality of our schools and the lives of children. Each month, this board will continue to recognize parents and guardians who support our district-wide parental involvement program consisting of activities focusing on parenting, communicating, volunteering, learning at home, decision-making, and community involvement. Nominated by their child's school administration, we are proud to announce tonight's award recipients. Honorees are Luciana Green from Wilson Avenue School, Felicia Don Harper from Quitman Street School, LaShonda Perkett, Ivy Hill School, Gladys Ihuzio from Hawkins Street School, and from the mighty Weequahic High School, Yolanda Joseph. Give all these young people a round of applause for committing themselves to their children's academic future.
And thank you again, Mr. Kinney. Thank you again to the parents for all of your hard work. We will now move to item 9 on the agenda, the report of State District Superintendent Cammie Anderson.
This time I'll ask the members of the team to just join me over there, and the screen is high enough that you all can follow with your hard copies, so you don't have to move.
Okay, I'm sorry. What did you say?
Good evening. Good evening. What follows is our monthly report, and we always begin the report by reminding the public and the board of our district priorities and goals, which are prominently displayed on our website and are quite transparent. We hope folks are engaging around them. So the first page is a reminder of that. Keep going. Page 3, please. Thank you. Page 3 are our priorities. Page 4 are our objectives. Those haven't changed, but I just remind individuals that we start every report being very transparent about our goals and objectives. Page 5 takes us to a bit of an update on the high school renew process, and for that, I'm going to turn it over to Assistant Superintendent Haggerty.
Good evening, everyone. As you'll be able to see in the next few slides, the planning process for the Renew High Schools at Barringer and Westside is well underway, accelerating rapidly, and we have some exciting updates to share. Most exciting amongst those updates are the fact that over the course of the past month, we have named and appointed our 3 principals, Ms. Danette Miller, who will serve as interim principal at Westside High School, Mr. Wayne Dennis, who will serve as interim principal at one of the Barringer small high schools, and Ms. Yvonne Waller, who will serve as the other principal at the other small school on the Barringer campus. Each, Mr. Dennis and Ms. Waller, officially come on board at NPS as of July 1, but have been working, even though they're holding down current other jobs in other states. Mr. Dennis in Trenton and Ms. Waller in another state, but they've been able to make themselves available to come to Newark on a very regular basis and have engaged in the planning process on weekends, at night, et cetera. They, as a matter of fact, are at Barringer this evening, meeting with parents and students. Primary of their roles as they took the job is staffing of each school. So they, as the hiring manager for all 3 schools, have dug into the work of identifying teaching candidates as well as leadership team members and are deeply involved in that work. So that is the quick update on slide 5. In terms of the work that they'll be involved in the coming months over the summer to prepare for a successful launch in September, I won't go through each one of these items for both schools, but will give you a flavor of some of the work that is happening. Specifically to Barringer, the work of taking one large comprehensive high school and dividing it into 2 successful small schools has a number of logistical steps as well as academic programming steps. So these involve things like walking through the facilities plan, which school is in which space, which floor, where the common shared spaces are, what entry, dismissal, et cetera, that kind of work looks like. In addition, dividing into 2 small schools also requires a great deal of outreach to families so that they can understand the 2 schools, what's similar about them, what's different about them, get to know the 2 principals, and allow students, particularly in the early grades, grades 9 and 10, to express a preference on which school they would prefer to attend out of those 2. Extended learning time is in place and will be in place at both schools. As most in the audience know, Barringer and Westside are SIG schools that have had extended learning time for the past 2 years. That will continue in the coming year. So the work there is around finalizing the master school schedule and as well as individual student schedules. Around the topic of strengthening community engagement, there are a few slides that will follow that walk through our multiple opportunities for community engagement and involvement in the planning process, and I'll speak to those in a moment as there are separate slides that are on those topics. The next 3, theme, project-based learning, and expanding partnerships, I wanted to sort of take as a group. Each school, one of its, the core elements of the Renew process is to create a school that is a draw, that is compelling and of high interest to 8th graders entering 9th grade. And so the work there is both curricular, what do the academic programs look like? It's also built around our growing partnerships with a handful of organizations that are supporting this work. These are folks like the Network for the Teaching of Financial Literacy, the organization Facing History and Ourselves, as well as an organization, Expeditionary Learning. Each of these organizations is helping support the principals and the work with their leadership teams and teacher teams this summer through provision of professional development and networking with other national models of excellence. Under expanding partnerships, I also want to add 2 other partnerships. One that you'll hear a little bit more in the presentation around safety and school climate and culture, but also wanted to call out an additional partnership with an organization called College Summit, where both Barringer and Westside students for all grades of high school will be participating in and will get the benefits of a college readiness curriculum for all years of high school, starting literally from the first day that they enter each of those schools. Lastly, wanted to call out the continuing efforts around engaging our stakeholders, but particularly our alumni at each of these schools, who both bring a sense of history and what the past has been at each of these schools, as well as a network of resources to help support the planning efforts moving forward. Again, on the next slide, a quick overview of some of the outcomes of our community engagement process. There have been a number of meetings in the months of May and June that will continue throughout July and August. You'll see outlined here a number of topics of concern that each of those planning committees will address in collaboration with, again, other stakeholders and the school leadership team and design teams. Each of those, you can see at the bottom, have been attended by a consistent group of folks, but always are open to welcoming new and interested community members to those meetings. Lastly, on slide 8, just a calendar so that the broader community is aware of both those community meetings, those family meetings, as well as the planning team meetings themselves. So, thank you.
One other addition, the school advisory board will receive next week and will place on our website a detailed summer calendar of not just the community meetings, but a variety of other activities that are happening over the summer with curriculum training, et cetera. And while we can't welcome everyone to all those meetings because it would be awkward, we would certainly welcome the board to any of them. So the board asked for a detailed list of milestones and other summer activities, and you all can expect that in next week's update. And we will post that on our website as well. Just note that some of them are open and some are not. For example, curriculum training for teachers. It's obviously not good if we have 20 individuals attend who aren't signed up for the training. But we will share that with the board, welcome the board to any of those activities. We will post it on our website for everyone else to know so that you all can expect that next week. There's a lot going on this summer. We want to make sure you have it all in one place. The next topic, which I will invite Assistant Superintendent Hardrick to discuss, is the progress on the Girls Academy of Newark.
Good evening. Sorry. We are extremely excited that Newark will introduce the first all-girls school, all-public school in the state of New Jersey, and that school will exist here in Newark. We've had a work group of women that consist of community members, parents, the new principal, et cetera, that have worked to help develop a model that we think will be comparative to any all-girls school across the country. And would absolutely be able to compete. The mission of the school is to create an environment for young women to gain confidence, where there's character, and where young women have an opportunity to explore and nurture their passions so that they can develop into young women that are able to make very informed decisions. Among those things that we're working on highlights is that it will be a 6th through 12th grade school, and we will enroll the first 6th grade class, which will consist of approximately 75 students in Newark, and all of those students have been enrolled through the middle school choice application process. And we're excited that parents have absolutely demonstrated interest in the all-girls school. We've also hosted some open house events. And we've done some of those in conjunction with the all-boys school so that we can provide parents with information on gender-specific education in general. We are creating an environment that will focus on scholarship and post-secondary readiness. We are working to recruit and ultimately develop staff whose views are consistent with those of the school's mission and the philosophy of the school, which is so important when you talk about a gender-specific environment. We will have very highly effective instruction that will ensure our students achieve competency and mastery in all core academic areas. In addition to the regular school year, every student will be exposed to a 2-week summer bridge program the week of August, where they will have an opportunity to be introduced to the model onboarding, and so that work can begin with those young ladies ahead of time. We have identified the school leader and the location for the school. Girls Academy of Newark will be located in the Spencer site on Muhammad Ali, and the new principal there is a former NPS principal, Kimberly White, who has been working very hard to help ensure that the school opens with a great model. Some of the features of the school will be parent involvement, academic rigor, college prep curriculum. We will have a personalized learning environment that are designed specifically for the needs of girls. There is a community service component to the model for young women. There will be an extensive amount of rituals, routines, and mentoring that will take place to ensure that the young ladies receive the social emotional supports that our young ladies need. There will be a huge focus on that in the school. And in addition to that, there will be some extended learning opportunities that will include, but not be limited to, art, music, drama, dance, etc. for the young women.
Thank you. The next topic on the update will be further updates on summer school.
Good evening. As was shared at the last board meeting, we're very excited to launch summer school in 2 weeks. We have a robust set of programs that build off the learning that we developed last year to really ensure that our students have an opportunity to avoid learning loss in the summer and be ready for the fall for their academic and other programs. So that first slide was the brochure that's gone out to over about 30,000 of those have been sent out across Newark. And this captures how we've approached summer school, a high-level view. We're obviously reaching out to the students who could most use the additional help and the support, particularly in the areas of literacy and math. But at the same time, there are a number of other offerings. There's the summer arts program that we've offered a number of years. There's career explorations and career and technical education. And then in terms of elementary versus secondary, elementary again is focused on helping students avoid summer learning loss and really trying to learn from what we learned last year on focusing deeply on a few core areas in literacy and math in adherence with the focus of the Common Core. In secondary, we will continue to offer credit recovery and other opportunities for students to accelerate their coursework during that 5-week window. We go to the next slide. We'll see what's been added since the last presentation in the last board meeting at the request of the board and others was a comparison between what we've did previously, last year in particular, and what we're doing this year. The high-level summary is that nearly all of the programs are being offered again, and with, in nearly every case, the same, if not higher, projected enrollment in each of those programs. The one notable difference is a program called Project Plus. We're very excited about piloting an approach to summer school that blends academic programming in the morning and enrichment programming in the afternoon that would build off one another and truly lead to students having a full academic and enrichment program through the summer. We're looking to pilot that in one site in Camden this year, and we're hoping to grow that program. That's something that's been supported by local foundations, including Victoria and Prudential, and in partnership with NJPAC and other key partners here in Newark. In addition, we have a number of programs from the Summer Youth Development Program. We're continuing to serve thousands of students in that program across the city, including with summer sports camps, as well as the Normal Youth Development Program. So that captures the similarities and differences. Overall, again, we're offering nearly all of the same programming from last year with some minor changes, and with overall, if we look at the last slide, projected slightly higher enrollment from last year across all of the programs. The one thing I'll highlight again is that we have replaced the Gifted and Talented program with Project Plus, and we see that as a way of piloting a new approach to summer school that will be enticing for students across Newark. And if there's any additional information that people are interested in, they can reach out to my office and to me and here at this board meeting or out afterwards to get that additional information. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Perkins. The final update in this, I'm going to move here so I can see better. The final update in this deck is an update to this body and to the public about our progress on school safety and climate across the board, in particular in our work with high schools. We have communicated multiple times and it's been pointed out by a number of board members the need to have specific updates on safety and climate, and we agree. We are actively shifting our approach to school discipline from zero tolerance to restorative practice, which means ways that schools can embrace relationship building and conflict de-escalation so that we don't have to get to the point of an incident. And there you see on the right many goals of that endeavor, which is improving adult-student relationships, reducing suspension, and improving attendance and student retention, which we know happens in schools where kids feel respected by adults. The second is looking at school discipline policies and that's a matter of looking at our discipline code to ensure clarity and consistency, and that we actually update how the process for disciplining young people occurs so that we can have more consistency in that and it can have a more restorative approach. And when necessary, students are disciplined in ways that are consistent. The third big piece is to strengthen partnerships with NPD and other partners who work on safety. We have talked prior and wanted to just update everyone here about our work with Newark Police Department, which has been strong, and we plan to strengthen even more. This summer, as we've shared, we are embarking on a joint training with the Newark Police Department, our security officers, school personnel, community representatives, and student leaders across, in particular, the comprehensive high schools, but we hope to broaden it after the summer for a week-long training, joint training among those groups, which would be unprecedented and hopefully will increase the shared language and communication among all those key stakeholders. And then finally, to provide schools with more resources and tools. We shared with the board and the public at the last meeting that we'd recently done a pretty deep training with our principals about when it is appropriate to call the police and when it's not, and the way to handle that so we don't end up unnecessarily escalating things that are adversarial to young people, but at the same time, we don't cause situations that are unsafe. And so that's a difficult line. We increased the training for our principals on that piece, and we will continue to do so as our goal is to diminish the amount of incidents and arrests that occur related to anything in or around the school, but also, of course, to be mindful of the environment, the national environment in urban and suburban communities where safety is, paramount. So that's a difficult balancing act, but one that we're embracing given how critical it is to our kids and our community. Finally, I want to say just a little bit about the training which will occur this August. We are in the process of forming teams, as I said, for each school that will include student leaders, individuals from the planning committee, individuals from the Newark Police Department that the police chief and the police director have hand-selected as being individuals who are very committed to young people, community representatives, a student representative, and the administration to go through a joint training process around restorative practices, but also to spend time really mapping out how kids come and leave school, because we know sometimes incidents occur right outside the school in addition to in the school. We would welcome the participation of any school advisory board members that are able to attend, and in the event that you're not, we would welcome the opportunity to share with you the curriculum and feedback and evaluation materials we receive from that training, because we believe it will be a critical and unprecedented step to ensuring all adults are working together and young people to have safety without pushing it towards the necessity for incident or for arrest, which we know have a very adversarial effect on a young person's long-term trajectory and not something we want to contribute to unnecessarily. So we wanted to update the school advisory board on that, the community, for anyone who is involved in a comprehensive high school planning team. If you would like to be part of the training, we would like to know. If you would like to be on the planning teams, particularly on this issue, we would like to know, and for the board, we would welcome and invite your participation. The issue of safety and security, as well as youth development and relationships with young people is paramount, clearly, so this is a place where more participation is better, so we invite your participation. Madam Chair, that concludes my report for this evening.
Thank you. We'll now move to item 10, report of the student representative, Angel Plaza.
Thank you. First, before I start my report, I would just like to thank you for the opportunity I was given this year. Being the student representative was definitely a fun and a very big learning experience for me. I never thought I would be here. I still remember myself being a freshman, sitting on the stage, thinking like, wow, who is that person up there and how can I become? Until, over the years I learned, the process of becoming one and trying to put myself in position, being the next student representative by actually going to the meetings. And I remember they were very tiring, but I conditioned myself so I can, so I can be in the shoes of that student representative, such as Ming, and understand, some of the hardships he went through. Going through meetings and going all the way to at least 12 midnight, especially on a school night, is very tiring sometimes. And especially sometimes when I have homework, I'm still up doing homework, including taking a shower and going to sleep. So it was very hard, but seriously, like, this was just incredibly great. And there's like no words I can say for this. Thank you, really. I'm out of words. Thank you.
Thank you.
One last thing, I would like to read off. This is actually my graduation speech, and I would definitely like you to hear it. I want everyone to hear this.
How long is your graduation speech?
It's not that long. It's very brief. It's not that long. Okay. The title of it is Big Things Have Small Beginnings. All it takes is one step. Frederick Douglass once said that without a struggle, there can be no progress. I think this motto he creates stands very true. None of you could have made it to the level that you're at now without any struggle. You couldn't have made it here without hard work. Without your teacher scolding you about your missing homework. Without Mr. T-Well getting on you about coming late to school. Or Mr. Cook saying you're going to disappear for a few days if you don't wear your uniform. All of you have faced countless struggles over the past 4 years. Whether they were within the school or outside the school, you've managed to strive over these struggles. You and your family members should most definitely savor in this monumental moment in your lives. You all deserve it. From here on out, you are the curators of your lives. And as high school graduates, you are now in control of your own education. Your friends and family members have helped you this far, but you now must take ownership of your own education. Whether it's college, trade school, or any educational program, the choice you make is boundless. However, being that we are the graduating class of 2013, the class under the leadership of the first African American president, Barack Obama, I think we should come to the notion, or if we have not already, that we can exceed expectations and rise to greatness as he did. But I all want you to understand that no matter what awards, titles, or positions we reach, every accomplishment we've gained is by that one step we took towards it. Remember, big things have small beginnings. President Barack Obama was just a small Kenyan boy from Hawaii whom nobody knew until he gained national recognition from his speech at the National Democratic Convention in 2004. We must not be afraid to take any step, even if it means we are to fall, even if it means we are going to fail. How can we know if we're going to fall? How do we know we're going to fall if we haven't tried? To my fellow classmates, the graduating class of 2013, and to the class under the leadership of President Barack Obama, we completed the long journey over the past 4 years and now entering a new stage of the world. It's been a long journey of overwhelming stress, anxiety, and tears. But we have grown academically and emotionally over the years to become critical thinkers and problem solvers and lifelong learners. But my say to you is this: as high school graduates, we must continue to be lifelong learners. Being lifelong learners, we must continue to educate ourselves. Whether it's going to university or community college, we must continue to read, to write, and to learn. Education doesn't stop at the high school level. From the day you were very little learning how to ride a tricycle till you're 90 years old on your deathbed, learning the true meaning of life is, you will always be students. You may not be high school students no more, but you are still students of lifelong learning. And from my experiences, and most of my peers can tell you this, is most people confuse education with going to school and getting a degree or receiving a certification. But education is gaining the knowledge. Is school the only place we can receive that knowledge? What about the knowledge we've received outside of school? My answer to you is this: your education doesn't define how smart or intelligent you are. We've succeeded our peers, our parents, our faculty, and our community. We've completed the dream that so many individuals have struggled to complete, and I want all of you to pat yourself on the back. You deserve to savor every moment of this spectacular day with your loved ones. But now, we must continue to succeed past those expectations. Not as high school graduates, but as Newark graduates. We are now joining a long line of individuals with whom beat the odds. Donald Payne Jr., Sr., Donald Payne, Ross Baraka, Shavar Jeffries, Khalil Rashidi, Rashawn Hassan, Ms. Antoinette Baskerville Richardson, Mr. Marquise Akil Lewis, Ms. Daniqua Matthias, Mr. Alteric Kenny. We have individuals within our community who've beaten the stereotypes and gone on to bigger and better things. Over the years, I've learned that it's not the knowledge you've learned, it's what you do with it. Nelson Mandela once said that education is the key to success. Part of that education does involve going to school, but part of it also includes what you do with it. However, going to school isn't our final determining factor. It is our outside experiences, self-learning, and ambition that define how successful we are. Thank you.
Thank you, Angel. Angel, it has been our honor and our pleasure to have you on the board, and at this time I would just like to give you just a small tribute of our appreciation.
And Angel, I would just like to say also on behalf of the NPS staff who love to regale each other with our favorite Angel stories, and let me tell you, we've all got some good ones. As one advocate and activist to another, it's very inspiring to see how you operate, and we are definitely going to miss you, but know that you're on to great things and expect to see you soon.
We will now move on to Section 11, Academic Service, the voting section. And board members, we will first entertain a motion for resolution for approval of in-state, out-of-state field trips. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Motion, Ms. Matthias. Second.
Second, Hassan.
I'm sorry, I think Mr. Lewis.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is a motion to approve the excuse me. It's a motion to approve the academic services item. Moved by Matthias and second by Mr. Lewis. Mr. Hassan?
Yes.
Mr. Kenny?
Yes.
Mr. Lewis?
Yes.
Ms. Matthias?
Yes.
Dr. McCreary?
Yes.
Ms. Perello?
Yes.
Ms. Pinto-Marin?
Yes.
Mr. Rashidi?
Yes.
Chair Baskel-Richardson?
Yes.
Motion carries unanimous.
We will now move on to finance and operations. There are,
Madam Chair,
yes.
I'd like to indicate, good evening, Madam Chair, Advisory Board members, community. I'd like to indicate for the record that there are two changes to the finance items. Item marked for you, they were placed with you, P14, it's marked as, it is actually P13, and this is a replacement for the item that you had, and we indicated at the business meeting there would be, and finance committee, that there would be a change in name. This is now the final item, so let that be reflected on the record as P13. We have an additional new item, which is being added to the end of the agenda, which is P20, and that is for the renewal of an existing contract.
I'm sorry, I actually didn't get that. What I understood was that P14 is now P13?
Yes, if you look at the
Okay.
agenda tonight, it's P13, but I think they mismarked it. My secretary may have, but it reflects, it's actually item number
That's
28. If you look at 28 on the agenda, it correlates to P13.
Okay, so you're
Okay.
just saying that what we have
Weapon.
tonight is correct.
Is the
but it's
agenda
different
correct?
From this agenda is correct, but it's different from the business meeting. Thank you.
Right. And this is the final item, the item in its final form. The other item, which is P20, is an additional item and is new. It is a renewal of an existing contract. Those are the changes.
And that's what we were giving this evening. Thank you.
Yes.
Is that then going to be number 38, Ms. Wilson?
No, it would.
Do you want to make that number 35 and move 36?
Yes, please, because it needs to go with the purchasing item.
Okay, so,
It's P20.
all right, so my understanding of the SBA's indication of the correction is that P20 would now be number 35, and 35, 36, 37, which are F1, F2, F3, would then become 36, 37, 38. Is that correct?
That
Madam
is
SBA?
correct.
Thank you. All board members get that change? Okay.
Yes, are there any questions on any of the voting items in finance and operations? Mr. Lewis?
I have a question. Because to me, I'm looking, the renewal, Chartwell, we already had Chartwell. Chartwell already had a contract with us.
They haven't always had a contract, but this year, we've had them. So they were already existing in the district, servicing some schools. Let me save you the confusion. The district has contracted out some of its schools for its food service management program. This past year, we've had two different vendors. We had Chartwell's and we had Whitson's, and then we had district-operated schools. We went out to bid for the schools serviced by Whitson's because we were not pleased with the vendor's performance. And now you see that we will have Chartwell's who will operate all of the contracted schools, but in two separate contracts for this point in time.
Okay, so it's no additional schools, is there?
No, there are no additional schools to be contracted out.
How many schools Chartwell actually operate at this time?
They operate 24 for us, actually 27 on the old contract, and the new contract will award them another 24.
Are there any other questions on any of the voting items?
Yes, I have a question on this.
Yes.
I mean, it's already been explained that this is a resolution for the renewal of the contract, but Ms. Wilson just mentioned that the district wasn't satisfied with the previous vendor. What level of satisfaction do we have with this vendor going forward?
We have a proven history there are not many vendors in the industry who can service a district the size of Newark. So we're pretty familiar with them. We've been contracting schools out since probably 1998 and have been through different contracts with different vendors at varying times. We have had Chartwell's in the district. They have left the district, and we have worked. Excuse me, let me refresh everyone's memory with regards to decorum at this meeting. There will be 2 verbal warnings for disturbances issued by me. On the 3rd instance of an individual, that individual will be asked to removed from the auditorium. So can I please ask you not to interrupt the meeting? We've had several vendors. We have worked with them. Our standards are in place, and we have evaluations that are done every time a school is visited.
My last question is, being that Chartwell's will be now taking on additional schools, the same discussion taking place in regards to efforts to ensure that a smooth transition occurs with those employees that were currently in place with the previous vendor?
Yes, we've already had that discussion.
Thank you.
Excuse me.
Mr. Lewis and then Ms. Matthias.
My question is,
I'm sorry, excuse me, and Dr. McCreary, I'm sorry, I didn't see your hand, so if we can go in that order, Mr. Lewis, Ms. Matthias, and Dr. McCreary, if it's okay.
my question is this: the additional schools that we had to give to Chartwell, did we have to give it to them because we don't have enough manpower to service these schools ourselves? Do we have the right amount of staff if we wanted to service these schools ourselves instead of contracting them out?
Mr. Lewis, as a senior and seasoned board member, I know you are aware of the fact that we have discussed the financial condition of the food services program. Finance is not being the only consideration, but in this year's budget, the upcoming 13-14 budget, there is a $4 million line item to offset the food services deficit. So finances require a heavy evaluation in terms of the contractors we use or in terms of the services we provide. We also look at quality. We look at the contractor's ability to provide the services, their history, potentially past with the district, and we check references in terms of that. We follow up. I get emails whenever an incident occurs, whether from parents, other community members. My email is an open information point for parents to contact me, and we take action on the resolution. We serve some almost 50,000 meals a day between breakfast and lunch. It is not possible for us to hit the nail on the head all the time, but we do aim for high quality, for change if there is a need for change, and we do ensure that we monitor our vendors. I'd be happy to share with you the evaluation sheets.
Yes, can we get the information? How much we're actually saving by contracting these additional schools
How much?
out?
I beg your pardon?
Can we get the information
What-
about how much we're saving cost-wise by contracting these schools out?
Can you put that in writing to Ms. Merritt as is our protocol?
Oh, she's right there. I think she copied it down.
Please put it in writing, Mr. Lewis.
Yes.
Thank you.
Ms. Matthias?
Just looking at the existing, the renewal contract versus the new one, the management fee, unless I'm reading this incorrectly, the management fee seems to have gone up quite a bit.
You want to answer that question? Okay. Actually, it went down when you look at what we are going to be charged. The administrative fee, I think, is 06 cents, right?
On the
renewal?
existing one. Mhm.
On the renewal,
Mhm.
right. So remember, it's two separate sets of schools.
Mhm.
So as they expand, they also added some things into the new contract that we may not have had based on the number of schools, because with 51 schools, they've added, one of the things is a compliance officer, because we find that compliance with meals, with the program has been somewhat problematic for vendors, so that's one thing. One of the things that they've also offered is the ability for us to offer meals on the go. So a food truck is one of the things that we're going to be trying out as a new innovative idea in the program. So there are some additional things which account for the difference. At some point, it would be the district's intent, if we retained this singular vendor at any given time, to merge the two contracts and work from a single contract with hopefully some further decrease in price. Okay?
So the food truck and the compliance officer, is that all of the new things that we're going to get, or is there more?
There are other things. I just remember those off the top of my head.
Okay. If we can get that, and I'll put the request in writing.
Thank you.
Then the other thing is there is a clause that says the district reserves the option to add or remove schools during the contract period.
That has been in all our contracts at any given time.
Does that happen via a public meeting, or?
That has happened probably 3 times in the last several years. There have been instances where a contractor may not have been working to the district standard in a specific school, and if there was a reason to believe that children's health and safety might be in jeopardy based on the operating practices, the district has taken the school back, reduced the vendor's contract, but that is immediate. It does not come back before the board. We have not added schools.
We haven't added schools during the past?
Nope.
And there's no anticipation for adding schools this year?
I reserve that right to do so if there exists a extenuating circumstance. It is not our intent at this point in time.
Dr. McCreary?
Ms. Wilson,
Yes, Dr. McCrary.
yeah, I'm just looking at the numbers, and I just hope that my question is clear, and if it isn't, just clarify, and I'm just trying to understand logistically. So in the old contract in which Chartwell served 27 schools, the contract annually was about $6.6 million, correct?
That is correct.
And now they're going to be servicing 24 schools, roughly the same amount, and they're going to be providing more services and yet doing it on the same roughly budget. And so I just question, right, taking on a large number of schools, saying that they're going to provide more, and yet the numbers are the same. Now, obviously that's great for us, but usually that's not how it pans out when it gets to the individuals being served. So what do we have in place to ensure that the $14 million to this one particular company, that they will deliver what they need to do, because now all of our eggs are essentially in that one basket?
As I indicated before, we've had several vendors over a number of years in the district. The district has no problem with exercising its right to cancel a vendor's contract, should that be necessary. We also monitor those schools. While they have their own leadership or administration, there is a level of district monitoring that occurs. The managers assigned to the district and the director do go out, visit those schools on a regular basis as part of their rotation. And we approve menus. We have the checklist that I talked about with Mr. Lewis in terms of what we look for so that it is consistent when there is a visit to any school. It is as it were an audit of the what's occurring in the school. Now, any given school on any given day with any given staff cannot meet standards, but when that occurs and we are made aware of it or we discover it on our own, we take swift and appropriate action.
One last follow-up question. The additional services that Chartwell plans to administer, will that be focused only on the 24 new schools or all 51 combined?
We anticipate that it will be focused on all 51 combined. That's part of when they bid. You have to understand the timing on this. When they bid this contract, it was bid as a separate, the new contract. It was bid as a separate piece of business, but Chartwell's, as the current vendor in the district, took that into consideration in preparing its response.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Is that it for the board questions? Okay.
Are there any other questions on any other agenda?
Okay, Madam Chair, I think we need a motion to add the item indicated by Madam SBA to the agenda. Then it's add the renewal of the food service contract, which would be new P20 as item number 35, and then reclassifying F1, F2, F3 as 36, 37, 38. So this would just be a motion to amend the agenda to include that item.
Is there a motion? Is everyone clear on the motion? The motion is just to amend the agenda to include the new item, move the numbers down on the remaining items.
Madam Chair, I move that the agenda be amended to add the items P13 and P20 to the agenda as discussed.
Okay, Mr. Hassan moves. Second by Pinto Marin.
No, it was Ms. Matias.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I just had my hand
It
up.
sounded like Ms. Matias. Okay, this is a motion to amend the agenda as proposed by Madam SBA, moved by Mr. Hassan, second by Ms. Matias. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstain? Mr. Kenny opposed? Okay, one opposition. And so we have amended the agenda to include P20/35.
Okay, now we, I'm sorry, Mr. Lewis, I was going to ask for a motion to vote on the finance items. Mr. Lewis has indicated there are several items that he would like to have pulled for separate vote. And Mr. Lewis, could you please Would you please cite those items?
The items is the competitive contracting for
Identify the number, please.
number 10,
Number 10,
competitive contracting for professional staff development services. P13, operation and management of food service program,
P13,
and P20.
So it's number 28 and number 30, the
And
new number 35.
P20, which is number 35.
Yes.
You want to pull those items?
Yes.
Okay, so for clarity, again, you are saying item number 10, competitive contracting for professional staff development services, P13,
Which is 28.
number 28, which is food service management, and P20, which is now number 35. Is this correct?
Yes.
Okay,
Okay,
so
so-
there's a motion.
Your motion to vote on the block with the exception of those three items, correct?
Yes, is that your motion? That is your motion,
Yes.
Mr. Lewis? Okay, moved by Mr. Lewis. Is there a second?
Second on Mr. Lewis' motion.
Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
I think I got Perello. Right?
Yes.
Okay, so this is a motion moved by Mr. Lewis, second by Ms. Perello to vote on the block. This is just to vote on the block. It's not to actually vote on the items. On all the items with the exclusion of items 10, 28, 35. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstain? Okay, that motion carries.
Okay, the vote now is the actual vote on all finance and operations items excluding
10,
item, I'm sorry, go
yeah,
ahead.
10, 28, and 35. So 10, P3, which is also 28, and P20, which is number 35. This is a vote to actually vote on the items. Motion?
Is there a motion?
Motion, Hassan.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
Mr. Rashidi? Okay, so this is a vote, this is a motion to vote on these items with the exception of 10, 28, and 35. All finance items with the exception of 10, 28, 35. Moved by Mr. Hassan, second by Mr. Rashidi. Mr. Hassan?
Yes.
Mr. Kenny?
Yes.
Mr. Lewis?
Yes.
Ms. Mattias?
Yes.
Dr. McCreary?
Yes.
Ms. Perello?
Yes.
Ms. Pinto-Marin?
Yes.
Mr. Rashidi?
Yes.
Chair Basketball Richardson?
Yes.
Okay, all finance passed with the exception of 10, 28, 35. Discussion on those items.
Discussion on 10, 28, or 35.
Do we have a copy of 10, Madam SBF? Do you have a copy of it?
We discussed it after this? We discussed it after this? The item you've requested, Ms. Mattias, let me remind, I think it was discussed at the Curriculum Committee, it was discussed at the Finance Committee, and the Business Committee, the business meeting.
Yeah, No, I know that we had talked about it in finance. Mr. Lewis had some questions about it, but it wasn't with last week, so that's why I had asked.
Okay.
Excuse me, in order to help to facilitate this conversation, if Mr. Hassan, who is the Chair of Finance and Operations, would like to speak to this item, it would be appreciated.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. In regards to these items, during our committee meeting, we did have a very rigorous discussion around them. We also brought these items up again for discussion during our business meeting. And we also requested information from the district, which was submitted in writing. And the explanation that was provided to us is as follows. One of these items, which was labeled as P5 in one of the earlier packets, was an online, is actually a copyrighted material. And this is an online management tool for testing material. This is something that's already utilized by the district, and the district just plans to expand on the utilization of this particular tool. One of the other items was publicly bid upon, and this particular vendor did win out on that bid. And the last one, which was a license maintenance and update on the present budget software system. It's not awarding a contract to any new vendor, but just allowing us to actually pay for the maintenance or updating the budget software system that is used for the financial maintenance of the district. We do have this information here in writing, so again, the district did provide this to us in terms of the details of these particular contracts and resolutions, and I mean, this is what we asked for and this is what we got in return. At that time, I think everything was answered for us in a formal manner.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Hassan. Mr. Lewis, you had an additional question?
What about I didn't hear about P13 and P20. That's under finance as well, right? Leah? Was there questions asked during the committee about those contracts as well?
Yeah, so we did. We had rigorous discussion around those items as well, and I believe Mr. Kinney expressed some concerns for the particular vendor that was listed on prior to the change that was made, and that vendor was Sodexo. And discussion did occur around that, and the district did also explain to us that there was a level of dissatisfaction with that particular vendor, and advised us that they will be coming forward and naming a new vendor to award those contracts to. So it wasn't that Chartwell's is coming on and taking over additional schools because the district wanted to get them money. It was explained to us that the level of satisfaction was not there in regards to the services that Sodexo was providing.
Let me make one correction to that, not Sodexo, the current vendor. Sodexo was in the document you received, and I clearly indicated at both the finance and the business meeting that it was a placeholder in terms of we had not finished our review of the proposals that were presented by vendors. But in order to make this board cycle, which it was necessary to do, we had to have a placeholder. So Sodexo was just a name placed there. So we have not had Sodexo in this district. That's the only correction.
Thank you for correcting that.
My concern, one of my concerns is, I remember when I first came on this board, Chartwell had all these schools, and then we removed Chartwell, and we gave another vendor half, and Chartwell the half, and that because we said we wasn't satisfied then, and now we're going backwards, and now we're giving Chartwell back all the schools. I don't see the logic here. When we wasn't satisfied in the beginning.
Let me provide some corrections for you, Mr. Lewis. Let me clarify for you. You are correct in some of what you have said. Yes, there was a time when the district had all schools with Chartwells. and there were some levels of dissatisfaction. The correction I want to make here is that Chartwell's was removed from the district. Since then, we've had probably 2 bid cycles. In the second bid cycle, Chartwell's bid was able to be the successful vendor and has been in the district. The renewal you see is, I want to say 2 years. We have seen changes in the way they provide services based on the fact that they lost this business. And we have held them to a tight and high standard. In terms of the new contract we are awarding them, that was one of the concerns that the district had when looking at the proposals and determining whether we wanted to go to Chartwell's. I will indicate, and that was part of the delay in finalizing the award. To that end, we have had conversations, direct conversations with the vendor in terms of the expectations of the district, in terms of the number of schools that the vendor will be operating. But ultimately, the decisions that have to be made in the best interest, both in terms of quality of program and financial considerations for the district. And that is what we have taken into consideration.
Any other questions, Mr. Lewis or any other board member at this time? Is there a motion to, well, let me just ask specifically, Mr. Lewis, since you asked that the items be pulled, is there an objection to voting on these 3 items as a group, or would you prefer that we vote on each of these items separately?
Each of the items separately. Just for the record, the reason why I wanted to pull the competitive contract for for professional staff development is still part of my protest of laying off the department chairs and directors, people who are responsible for direct services, who will select the professional development for our schools.
Thank you,
Mr. Lewis, let me provide some accuracy for the record. This particular item that you have requested to be voted on separately in terms of professional development is not an award of any contract to any vendor. It is to allow the district, when it goes out to bid, to use the strategy called competitive contracting, which is required by statute. Council?
That's correct. The board has to, I don't have that resolution in front of me. However, the board has to approve and authorize the board going out for competitive contracting on a yearly basis.
Any awards for professional development will come before the Finance Committee and possibly the Curriculum Committee, and for sure before this entire body for a vote of approval prior to final award.
Madam Chair.
Yes, Mr. Kenny.
Yeah, 2 questions came to mind regarding prevailing wages and Newark residents working. I know that was something that we talked about in the meeting, and what assurances do we have that that Chartwell will be providing jobs that will be lost based on the old vendor to the new vendor, as well as how many Newark residents actually worked? You have a percentage or a number, aggregate, like how many Newark residents actually worked for Chartwell fulfilling this contract?
Okay. Excuse me.
Yeah,
In terms of some of the questions that you've asked, I can tell you that Chartwell's is a unionized vendor. They are in fact represented by the same local that represents our in-district staff. In terms of the number of Newark residents, I don't have that number, but I can find that out for you. In terms of whether or not we look to Newark residents first, that has always been a part of our requirement. In many occasions, I have referred individuals, former staff members who may have called looking for jobs to their job hiring site. Today, we received a request from a principal in this district to retain his current staff who work for the vendor who will be leaving. We assured him that that staff who is a contract staff who would be Newark residents and who are familiar with his building will remain. There will be some schools who will not want their staff to return based on the quality of service or lack thereof.
P13.
But we encourage all of our vendors, and you as a union-affiliated worker know that you can't specify
That's right.
for the vendor, but you can highly recommend, and we have done that.
Madam Chair, just to echo what Madam SBA was saying, she's correct that that resolution before the board right now is just to authorize the process. It's not to award to any specific vendor, just to authorize the process for a later award as the case may arise.
Any other questions or comments on the items? Okay, may I have a motion to vote on item 10, competitive contracting for professional staff development services? Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second, Hassan.
Okay, motion, Ms. Moran. Second, Mr. Hassan.
Okay, this is a motion on item number 10 to authorize competitive contracting, moved by Pinto Marin, second by Mr. Hassan. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstain?
Opposed.
Okay, I have Mr. Kenny and Mr. Lewis opposing. Motion carries. 10 approved.
We have a motion for item P13, number 28, food service management.
Madam Chair, I move that we now vote for item P13.
Moved by Mr. Hassan.
Second.
Second, was that Ms. Matthias?
Yes.
Okay, this is a motion moved by Mr. Hassan, second by Ms. Matthias for number 28. Mr. Hassan?
Yes.
Mr. Kenny?
No.
Mr. Lewis?
No.
Ms. Matthias?
Yes.
Dr. McCreary?
Yes.
Ms. Perello?
Yes.
Ms. Pinto Marin?
Yes.
Mr. Rashidi?
Yes.
Chair Baskel-Richards?
Yes.
Motion carries.
And may we have a motion to vote on P20, number 35?
Madam Chair, I move that we now vote for item P20, item number 35.
Moved by Mr. Hassan. Is there a second?
Second.
You're fighting the second tonight. I think that was...
Oh, that was Pinto.
Who was that? Oh, that was... Okay.
Pinto Marin on a second. This is a motion to approve finance item number 35, the last remaining item, moved by Mr. Hassan, second by Ms. Pinto Marin. Mr. Hassan?
Yes.
Mr. Kenny?
No.
Mr. Lewis?
No.
Ms. Matthias?
Yes.
Dr. McCreary?
Yes.
Ms. Perello?
Yes.
Ms. Pinto Marin?
Yes.
Mr. Rashidi?
Yes.
Chair Baskel-Richardson?
Yes.
That motion carries. 35 approved. And the finance items.
Thank you. We have now completed the voting item section of our agenda. We now move to public participation.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the public participation segment of the meeting. Just as a reminder, the guidelines, time limits for all speakers are adhered to. There is no sharing or granting of speaking time to others. Speakers must be present when their name is called. Speakers will be required to give names and addresses. The public participation portion of the meeting is limited to 1 hour and 30 minutes. Examples of unacceptable behavior that will not be permitted include but are not limited to naming district employees and engaging in personal attacks, slurs, excessive loudness, calling out, yelling, generally disruptive behavior, attempting to disrupt the meeting, or inciting others to do so. Public participation at board meetings is intended to allow the individual members of the public the opportunity to address the board and district officials on issues of public concern, not as a forum for two-way dialogue with board members or officials. The superintendent or designee or Madam Chair may respond to questions either at the end of the session or responses may be provided at a later time. The superintendent, designee, or chair may interrupt any speaker or terminate speaking privileges if the speaker's comments are disruptive or obscene. An individual may be cautioned that a personally directed statement may be slanderous or defaming, and that individual may be liable for his or her comments. Attempts to hijack or filibuster the proceeding, repeated interrupting or badgering the chair or district officials, repetitive and truculent speech, or disregard of the rules of decorum are not tolerated and may subject the individual group to removal from the meeting. If necessary, the meeting may be adjourned.
Thank you.
The past 2 days, she hasn't had a fever, but she has the cold with the liquid in her ears. So
Our first speaker this evening, and we always have students first. Our first speaker for this evening is Jordan Roper.
just in case she does develop the fever, that means she has the infection. So, unbelievable.
Our next speaker, and I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing this, it may just be the way the spelling is on here. It looks like Jaleel Smith.
You're saying it right.
Did I say it correctly? Wow.
How's everybody doing this afternoon? First, I want to give honor to the advisory board. Hello, y'all can hear me? Okay, sound check 2, 1, 2. Everybody can hear me now? Okay.
Yes.
First, I would like to give honor to the advisory board for everything that they have did this past year for Norfolk Public Schools, and I would like to give a special shout out to Andrew Plaza from my school, from Norfolk Vocational High School, for doing his thing up there on the advisory board. I'm asking everybody to give him a nice standing ovation. Well, I'm basically here to tell you today about my school and my experience at Norfolk Vocational High School. Again, my name is Jaleel Smith. I'm a senior at Norfolk Vocational High School, currently senior class president. I've served as senior class president for the last 2 years. Well, I was wondering, I heard some things that happened at the past meeting, some negative things that were said about my school, so I'm just here to correct some things. First off, at Norfolk Vocational, there's a lot of things going on that is very strong-minded, that is very positive towards the students. First thing I could actually say is there's loyalty going on at Norfolk Vocational High School. There's respect going on at Norfolk Vocational High School. Most importantly, there is a great connection between the staff and administration and the students. I can honestly say Norfolk Vocational High School has played a big part in what I am today, played a big part into me becoming a man. I learned a lot of things from each and every single one of them, from each and every single staff member there at Norfolk Vocational High School. Most of all, I learned a lot from, my principal. And I'm here to back. I heard these things that were said about Norfolk Vocational. I said to my principal that I wanted to come in personally and let you know that some of the things were false. I'm here to tell you that at Norfolk Vocational High School, in my mind, and probably in some other minds, and probably the staff that's their mind, is one of the best high schools in Newark. Mainly because, Norfolk Vocational High School shows us, the staff and administration, that they actually care, that they're there for us, and that, they take time with us. Norfolk Vocational High School, I can honestly say, is very much Miss Cameron Anderson on the rise. And I ask that you keep your eyes on Norfolk Vocational, and hopefully it will turn into something. No, it will. It'll turn into something. I ran out of time?
You still have a minute.
Oh, okay. Or that would turn to something like Science Park, and it will be something like Science Park. I want to take this time to thank Norfolk Vocational High School for every single thing that they have did for me, even though I got a speech tomorrow at the graduation. Most of all, I want to take this time to thank the advisory board for giving me this opportunity to be at Norfolk Vocational High School, to actually approve my transfer there, because I thank God for the day that I got accepted into Norfolk Vocational High School. And I want to thank you all for your time and participation. And once again, I want to make a statement for Norfolk Vocational High School. If I had to make a statement, it would be Norfolk Vocational High School is on the rise. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Smith. Next speaker, Jason Basile.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
I'm a little tall, so bear with me. All right, my name is Jason Bazil. I'm president of the Newark Students Union, and being up here today, I just want to say personally that it has been a real pleasure to be able to speak and work with all the members on the board, and just in the pursuit of a real proper and decent education for students across the district. And with that, taking this, speaking out today is reminiscent of the first time I did way back in November during the CUSAC conference. And I mean, that was a long time ago. So ever since then, the Newark Students Union, back then it was a baby union, right? We weren't even anywhere near where we are now, but now we have grown into a legitimate force that can truly represent the political opinions of students throughout the district. And I'm really just grateful that I was personally a part of this process to begin with. So, just speaking to the issues, the Newark Students Union was founded on the principles of being able to voice the opinions of students and actively trying to act on those opinions. That being said, I think we've pretty much performed to that effect during this school year. Whether it be, protesting out in front of Behringer High School because of the terrible state that school is in, or whether it be even going to Harrisburg, as we did today in support of our sister union in Philadelphia. We have truly grown into a force that I think where we can actually organize legitimate student power. That being said, on April 8th, we all know that Newark students walked out against the state's proposed budget that would continue to underfund Newark Public Schools by $51 million. For that fact, I think that's a basis of where the Newark students stand, and that we know that we want all the resources necessary to try and fight for our education. The student union started small, but I think we've really grown outwards, and we've really begun to, really flex our wings in this school year. If anything, this school year represented the calm before the storm. And next year, it's going to be all the more explosive because now we're being able to organize forces in all of the schools throughout the district to try and fight for what they believe in, and which is, at the end of the day, a quality education. Also, being a union, we form our political opinions, and we're able to, act on those opinions, but we also want to be able to ask the tough questions as well. One of those questions is that why is it that the $200 million that was raised by Mark Zuckerberg and various other donors is controlled by the same foundation and by the same forces that elected the state superintendent into power? We are, is that time? Was that? We are an organization that is, that's founded on the principles that students are as much a part of the political process.
Mr. Bazile, can I ask you to wrap up, please?
As much a part of the political process as the adults. And in the next years to come, we will be making sure,
Mr. Bazile, thank you so much.
that students everywhere throughout the district will be making their voices heard because they have the right to. And we will, well, next year is going to be explosive. You're just going to have to see.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.